Welcome back. It is day 2 of our 5-day series on website assets as an investment class. If you missed day 1, then I will link to that below so you can go back and watch where we really got more into this. We looked at some numbers, why we actually want to make this happen for ourselves. But today I want to start getting more specific and I want to make this about you. So I want you to really understand how this is going to start being your plan and how you can start to shape your own criteria for this. That way, this is not only going to be fun and enjoyable for you now in the beginning, but even a year, 2 years, 5 years from now, then you are going to continue to be on that path going towards where you really ultimately want to be with all of this. Otherwise, if we follow somebody else's path just because their idea looked good, well, we end up with the outcome that they wanted, which is probably completely different than what we want for ourselves. So that's why I really like to make sure that you are thinking about you, because that is really all that is important here. So that is why today we're going to be looking at 3 specific questions that I want you to ask yourself, because these are going to help you shape your criteria. Because believe me, there's going to be a lot of decisions to make in this. But if you are really certain on the criteria that you have for yourself, you're always going to be able to check your decisions against your criteria, and you'll be able to make decisions a whole lot easier, and you'll be much, much happier with the outcome. So I've received a lot of great questions, not only from yesterday, but also from before when I've talked a little bit about using website assets to create financial freedom. And these questions are all about how to actually build an income producing website that is an asset, where to actually find these, how much skill is actually needed, how much time do you actually need to put into this? And these are all really great questions. So if you have any questions at all, again, just ask, just throw those into the comments, and over the week I will continue to answer these questions. So I want to start getting into these questions to make sure that you have a criteria to follow. Everyone is always excited about the idea of high income with less effort, or just the high income at all, but not everyone is as attracted to putting in the effort that is required to make it happen. This doesn't mean that you need to work a whole nother 40 hours per week just to see some results that are happening. Definitely not. But this is really about being realistic about what you have and don't have, so that way we can figure out what is the plan for you. So let's start with the first question, which is, who are you? And by this, I want you to think about, what is your experience? So this is not only experience in terms of digital marketing. Do you have web design experience, copywriting, any digital marketing skills? These are important to consider. Again, this doesn't mean that, oh, if you don't have this whole long list of digital marketing skills, this isn't a possibility for you. This, again, is just to be realistic about what you have and what you don't have, because we're going to need to understand what that is in order to pick an option that is going to work for you, because some of these are going to be more involved, which are going to require more skills, and some just aren't going to require the same level of skill in order for you to do them. Time is another big one, and this is one that I always find a little bit tricky, if I'm honest, to talk about, because time is something where, yes, we all have a limited amount of time, and there's only so much that we can dedicate. So we do need to be realistic about how much time that we have each day or each week in order to invest in a website asset. And again, if we have 5 hours per week or we have 30 hours per week, that is fine. Again, there's still an option for you, but we need to be realistic with how much time you actually are going to have to dedicate to this, because that's going to mean you're going to probably choose a different option. If you say that you have 30 hours, but you really only have 10, well, then you're going to be stressed out about it and struggle about it. So we need to make sure that we're being realistic with the time. The second thing about time, and this is why I hesitate a little bit, is because we can find time for anything that is really a priority for us. And sometimes that means we just have to move our time or use our time more efficiently or differently. And sometimes if we really want something, then we're able to adjust our schedules a bit to start to actually find the time that we need to make something happen. So that's something that you need to determine, though, and come up with how much time. Again, no right or wrong answers here. Just put what really it is for you so that we can come up with the option that is best for you. The third is interest. Now, we all have interest, and this could be interest in terms of different topics or ideas perhaps that you've had, or something that maybe you don't have an idea for, but maybe just something that is completely offline, just something in your everyday life that either really interests you or you're passionate about, because we want to just start listing these out, especially if you don't have any ideas. Really good to just get some of these ideas down on paper, some of these interests, these passions, some of you've seen that's just sparked an interest, even if you've never done anything with it, because you never know where you're going to be able to pull the best idea from. Interest can also be for digital marketing. So let's say that you really like Facebook ads, or you really like writing, or you really like designing websites, or you really like conversion rate optimization. So there's a particular skill and you want to be able to put that to good use, then that's something that's worth noting down. If you really like talking to people, or you want to have a community or a group that you're able to put together in one way or another, this could be something that's working behind the scenes to make your website asset work. This could be people that you're just trying to reach. Again, you might love people, want to be all around them and create that, or you might not want that at all. So again, just about you. So really at the end of the day, this is about how much experience do you have and how much time do you have available there. So that way we can understand, well, if we're looking at a particular idea, but we see that a particular skill is an absolute requirement and it would take you 3 months to learn that, or it could take you a week to learn it, well, then you can consider, am I willing to put in the week, or do I really want to delay this 3 months, or should I just pick something else? Again, this is helping you establish the criteria so that every time you have a potential decision, you can check it against this list that you're creating right now, and that's going to really help give you your answer much faster. The second question is, what is your goal? And this is so important, because you have got to pick an idea that is going to get you to your goal. If you just pick an idea for the sake of picking an idea, you may hate doing this very soon, because you realize that it's not going to get you to the goal that you then come up with later on. So this is why we want to think about this now, so we can really get to the bottom of what this is, to make sure that any idea that you come up with or a site that you happen to acquire, you're actually starting a path that's going to get you to where you want to be. Now, money is, of course, very important, especially when it comes to talking about goals. So this is where we can say, well, how much money do we want the site to make? And this could, again, be if you are acquiring a site, well, what level are we looking at in order to be able to have that kind of income? Or if I want to be able to build a site, is the idea that I'm about to put together, is that going to actually help me generate that amount of income? Or am I going to need to supplement that in some way? Am I going to need to do something different? Maybe it'll take me a little bit longer to get to, or maybe that's the perfect one. I'm going to be able to reach that pretty easily with that particular idea. But if we have, again, some numbers, I was talking yesterday about numbers, it's so important. If we understand where we're trying to go, then we can really make decisions from that. So if we are looking at 2 or 3 potential ideas, and then we come back to, well, what are our goals here? Then we're very easily are probably going to be able to eliminate at least 1, if not 2 of those ideas, and know what to go with, because that one is going to get us to our goal. Now, when it comes to money as well, I like to think about, is this a website asset that you want to have because you want to supplement the income that you already have? Is this something that you want to have because you want to replace the income that you have right now? I also like to look at the involvement. So how much time do you yourself want to spend actually working on this? So this could be something where, for instance, you have somebody else who completely manages the full site for you. And what your job is just to make sure everything runs, check in on it, make sure all the numbers look good, offer any growth suggestions for the team, or whether that's one person or multiple people, to turn around and implement to help the site grow. Or do you just want to really be hands off and you don't want to have to do any of the work? Or is this fun and you do want to do the work? Or is this really a mix? You want to do some of the work, but you would also like someone to help maybe with the tedious parts, or with maybe the parts that you aren't actually going to have time to do, that you could easily have someone else do for you. Now, a lot of people, especially when you're first getting started, you're going to be doing more of the work because you're going to be getting a process under your belt. You're going to be getting used to this. And then as time moves on, then maybe you will have someone else who's going to start to manage all or part of the process for you. But again, everyone is different. So if you want to be able to handle the site yourself, or you want to be able to fully hand off the entire site to someone else down the road, even if you don't do that right now, that is going to help shape the decisions that you make in terms of the type of website asset that you have, because some may require more of your involvement or maybe more complex to have someone else run than others. So that's always something very important to think about. Now, something else that you can think about is, what do you actually want to do with the website asset? Do you want to build the site, increase its value over time, continue to collect the revenue, and just keep that going for as long as you can or for as long as you want to? Do you want to actually build up a site with the goal of being able to sell that off in a year, 2 years, 3 years from now for a large sum of money? Do you want to acquire a site so you don't have to put in work up front to start getting that revenue in and then hold that long term? Do you want to buy a site and then flip it because you've seen a lot of opportunities, you know you can increase the revenue, and then turn around and sell that off for a profit plus all of the revenue that you've collected during the time that you've owned it? So there are different opportunities here. And so again, this is what is attractive to you. Are you more attracted to being able to build a site that has high revenue just so that you can have that monthly cash flow consistently coming in? Would you prefer to trade that in for a lump sum of cash? Do you like the idea of having one site that is everything for you? Or do you like the idea of having multiple websites, perhaps a portfolio of websites? Do you want to have websites that feed off of each other? So while they're not necessarily the same exact topic, they do share a similar audience. So that way you can start to cross promote. You can start to send people from site A to site B and from B to C and do cross promotions and increase revenue for all of the sites in that way. Or does that all sound like too much and you like to keep things simple and you'd rather have one really solid, great site that you can depend on? Again, no right or wrong answers here. It's simply your preference. You can design the path you're taking. And the third question is, what is your budget? And this, of course, is how much are you willing to invest in this process? Again, this could be zero and you are going to be starting from scratch, and that is perfectly fine. This could be maybe you have $10,000 or $50,000 that you want to be able to invest in a process like this. No right or wrong amount of money here. There are opportunity for everyone regardless of budget, but we have to be realistic and we have to see what opportunities exist for us. If you have a budget, you're able to acquire a website asset. If you have a budget, you can also build a website asset, but you may be able to accelerate growth because of some paid marketing opportunities. But a budget is not required. I cannot stress that enough. Now, what you do want to watch out for with the budget is that you may find that your answer for your budget does not necessarily match your answers for number 2. And that is okay, because what we want to understand really is where you're at right now is, for everyone, going to be different than where you actually want to end up with this process. And so we are looking at all of this information saying, okay, well, here's where we're at now, and then here's where we want to be. So which path is going to help take us there? That's why we want to establish this criteria, because this is going to help us check all of our ideas by this criteria to make sure that we're not just starting a path for the sake of it, we're just chasing some early dollars, that we're actually making sure that we're following a path that's going to get us to that ultimate goal. So with this, you'll start to have a much better understanding of what your path is going to be, what you're actually going to be looking for, and you'll start to see the different possibilities. What I would love to hear from you is what some of your criteria is. Let me know in the comments. If you have ideas or you have questions about maybe the path that you should start to take, let me know down in the comments below and we can start discussing this more and more. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow for day 3 again at 9 a.m. Pacific time at 12 p.m. Eastern, and we'll start talking more about website asset sales prices, value. So again, we can put some numbers to this so you can not only understand what you can acquire, but more importantly, you can understand what it is that you can create and the value you can create and how you can start using that to generate more financial freedom for yourself. I'll see you tomorrow.